Welcome back, everybody. This is Ryan Nieders with Omnilucid Media, and this is the Blackheart Paladin, Episode 8. So in this episode, we are going to be talking about comic books, and basically how the morals and the values that you can actually learn from comic books that most people, I feel, they just kind of write them off unless you actually take the time to read them and understand what's there and what the stories are telling you, and what you can actually gain from it other than just reading a cool story. So with me I have fellow OLM member Matt Miller, and once again we have our friend Jereme with us, joining for his wonderful commentary that he likes to throw in. And
sarcasm and spite, baby.
Yes.
Third appearance, counting Palooza?
I think third, yeah.
I feel like it's fourth, but count.
No, I think it's
Third. Okay,
so Palooza the last one on this one.
Okay. So Jereme's third appearance with OLM podcast in whole. But so to start this off, basically, obviously we'll get into talking about comic books, just hands down what they are, and some of the stuff that we like about them, and not just comic books, but the cartoons that we grew up with, and for the shows, movies, all of that as well. But where I want to kind of go with this is the fact of, so when I was a kid, it was still at the time when if you read comic books, you were considered a nerd. It could very easily get you beaten up, or that people would look down on you as if there was something wrong with you because you were reading comic books, which even at that time it never really made sense to me, because it's you're just reading a story, and because there's pictures with it, suddenly that makes you weird. But you could go in the library and read Lord of the Rings, and that was okay. I don't think it was. I think if you really went all fanboy talking about Lord of the Rings, that might get you beat up. But you could read it and not generally be labeled. Whereas if you read comic books at all, you pretty much got the nerd label right away. And I feel like just most people just, whether it was not give it a chance or take the time to understand it. Myself, I definitely did read comic books and watched, cartoon shows, primarily like X-Men, Batman animated series, Spider-Man when that came around, and when I was younger, Ninja Turtles, and I guess, I don't know if Thundercats and He-Man and all that were ever comics, or if they'd be considered in that genre. They might have just been cartoons.
I don't think they were comics now.
But anyway, so I had read all those, but I also did play sports, being that I'm a bigger guy, so I was kind of right in the middle ground. So myself, I never really got picked on too much for it, at least not in my later years. Maybe when I was younger, before I had my growth spurt and got scary. I don't know.
Spurt.
Yes. Yes, spurt. So with that, though, I feel like the values that you can learn from that, and I guess that would be something that you should take from just about anything. It might not just be comic books, just because we're focusing on that for this one. But if you can take the time to appreciate stuff and not just immediately write it off, there might be more there than you can understand. Or if we want to go Transformers, more than meets the eye with different things. But I'm just picking comic books since I have a pretty good frame of reference for it. When it came to playing sports or comic books, it was kind of the idea was that boys are supposed to play sports and that's what they're supposed to do. Like, that was the normal thing to do. Whereas reading comic books and playing video games or whatever was considered strange. And the way that I look at it is, as I grew up, I definitely learned better morals and values from reading comic books than I ever did from playing sports. In sports, the only one that I can imagine that we were kind of talking about before starting this was learning teamwork. You can definitely learn teamwork, but at the same time, a lot of people don't work together well as a team. I mean, they still argue, and it's kind of like, well, I feel like sports just kind of teaches you, like, well, if you should have teamwork and it'll be better for you, but if you don't use teamwork, the worst thing that happens is you lose the game. It's not, which might be bad, but it's definitely not end of the world or anything. Now you get into the fantasy world of comic books, and true, you're reading these comics, and there's not really alien invasions happening or anything, but still, you see that in the comic books, with their teamwork, if the heroes don't work together or show teamwork there, then some serious consequences do happen. Whole cities get destroyed, characters may get killed off. And again, it's a fantasy world, but at least you can see the implications of, why you should really, try to use teamwork and how bad it can go for you. I don't know. I feel like I've been going for a little while. Any input from you two?
I'll say that growing up in the 90s, Jereme's a little younger, a little bit. But all the kids that I hung around with, or my neighborhoods that played sports, were all dickholes and just aggro as fuck.
Accurate description.
So whenever I would decide to play with them, I would always feel like the bottom of the rung because I wasn't as good, and they were just assholes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's not the best. You should do this lesson, which always made me want to stay inside and play video games or read comic books.
Yeah.
So.
I would say going back to the teamwork thing, it can teach you teamwork, but there's that strange competition where you want as a team to win, but individually you want to be responsible for the win, right? You want to be the hero of the team, which really I feel like add more friction to the game than anything else. The individual strive for competency, I guess.
That's true. Yeah.
I know I had that problem a couple times. Being forced to play sports in gym in high school. You had anybody who was actually a jock.
The dreaded gym class.
Oh yeah, Jesus Christ! Thank you ROTC for getting me out of that. More bookwork, but less idiots yelling in my face because I don't care about catching the ball. But even growing up, I had that problem too, where I think it wasn't necessarily just if you read comic books, but if you read at all, rather than engage in whatever stupid physical activity the other neighborhood kids were doing, then you were ostracized for it. Until they needed to know the answer to some question, and then suddenly you were less of a pariah. That's how it always played out for me.
Right.
But we didn't have anybody who read comic books, so.
Yeah. Well, and that's, speaking of, going with the gym class, I don't know what to call it, frame of reference. But, going with the gym class thing, I could say to that, I enjoyed gym class, but because it's kind of a weird, it was a weird standoff for me. I enjoyed it because to me it was just oh, okay, go and play. I mean, it was recess. It was you look at gym class in high school and it's that's your recess. Or at least it was for me. And again, me,
very similar.
I was in sports. I was athletic, so I did play these things. But so it was nice because it was kind of like a break from real schoolwork. But at the same time, it's just that it wasn't real schoolwork. And to me, I would look at it sometimes and think okay, you can have me in the gym for an hour and showing me how to play baseball for the 10th year in a row, because gym class never changes. You always learn the same stuff.
Yeah. Unless they have a program.
Yeah, they slowly start to add in a few extras the older you get. But I mean, baseball, you learn how to play baseball pretty much from kindergarten all the way through your senior year of high school. There's always hey, we're going to play baseball this week.
Yeah.
And to me, especially later in the later high school years, it was more of you're basically wasting this hour of me doing this, or I could be learning something. And it's but instead,
you're why am I just sitting here?
Yeah, but instead it's we're going to sit in here and do this. And usually gym class was a lot of standing around too, because it's
Or you have the typical movie gym class where people just sit on the bleachers.
Right.
They get an extra free 40 minutes.
Oh yeah, I did that a lot.
So, and from that, so another thing that I like to talk about with that as well is, like I was saying, talking about it with the application of things you can learn in comic books to real world. For me, I always tell people, that's probably one of the main reasons that I did go into the Army, was because, I read these comic books and I read Captain America and Superman, and it's like, hey, do the right thing. Go and, protect people, help people, give something of yourself and all of that. So, and that leads me to go in the Army and do these things where, there you go, that teamwork experience is coming around, where now it really is life and death scenario, where it's like, all right, I need to work with my guys in my platoon, and they're going to work with me, because otherwise, the consequences of not doing that could be someone gets killed. It could be, pretty catastrophic. And those are the values and things that I did learn from comic books was, tell the truth, being a good person and actually trying to help somebody. That it's not easy to make the right choice all the times. In fact, it's almost always harder to make the right choice than it is to make the wrong choice.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because that usually requires some sort of sacrifice from yourself, big or small. Even little decisions. I guess if you really think about it, even little decisions, you have to sacrifice something.
If nothing else, it requires the effort to act,
right,
as opposed to just letting things happen.
Right. It could be sacrificing, your time or something. It's like, oh, hey, I'm going to help. I don't know. I get stereotypical. I'm going to help the little old lady across the street. It's like, yeah, you could just let her walk across by herself, take forever, or you could, sacrifice a little bit of your time, help her across, something like that,
and make her day better.
Nope.
Really, because most people ignore old people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's another one of those where I feel like people really need to learn. Like if you look at these comic books, you can really learn those values of, just in general, to be a good human being.
Yeah.
A lot of people turn to religion in that, and it's like one of those things. Not that comic books are a religion before everybody gets all nutty
it's just another
and crazy with me, but
developmental tool. Right?
Yeah, but there's a lot. That's a lot of religious people. They use religion to teach their kids right and wrong. You have your 10 Commandments and you have your stories of the Bible, and yes, follow these so you can be a good person. But right there, you can also go in and you can read a comic book and get some entertainment and learn these same things. And I don't know. This just feels blasphemous all over it, but
you're surrounded by two guys that don't give a shit.
Yeah,
right, and that's the thing. And
so go for it.
So
I almost made a real bad Muslim joke. That's why I smirked, if you noticed. But I let it go.
That's probably good.
It's just because, overall, at least if you're using the Bible as a basis, the whole point is to avoid punishment, more or less. So you don't go to hell, or you go to heaven, whatever it is that you believe. At least you're not getting punished in the afterlife. But with comic books, you can have true altruism, where it's just, no, you do it because it's right, and that's what should be done.
Yeah.
And I liked a different side of it growing up as more of a nerd than Ryan, not in practice, but just in perception. That wasn't athletic or a part of any groups in school. I gravitated more towards the underdogs, and the snark. Spider-Man is a perfect example. He's an underdog. Shit's always going wrong for him in his real life, and he's a smart-ass bastard.
Yeah.
So
Spider-Man's great.
Yeah. And then I identified with, the X-Men, who were the outcasts. The downtrodden, stuff like that. So that's, again, why comics are so prolific, is that you can get any kind of story that you might need or identify with.
Oh, yeah. If you look, even... I feel that's even if it it might not be the same it might not be, hey, I need to find this story on something specific.
Yeah.
Well, I can't find it in the X-Men. Well, I'm going to look in Spider-Man, or I'm going to look in Batman, or I'm going to look Green Lantern. Any of those. So I think that's actually, I feel like that was a pretty good segue. So Matt, you with those characters now, do you feel so? As a kid, I'm trying to think. who I'm more identified with, because it's definitely changed as I've gotten older.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to remember as a kid too.
As a kid, I know I definitely like more of the, I guess the flashy characters. I mean, like on X-Men, like it seemed like everybody loved Wolverine. I loved Gambit. I thought Gambit was awesome just because
Gambit was great.
He kind of had this. He kind of had the swagger. He was a little bit of the rebel in the group, where he would kind of like, all right, I'm going around, I'm hanging out with you guys, but at the same time, hey, I want to go do my own thing and piss off.
Yeah, that animated series in the '90s really started the whole Wolverine push.
Yeah.
Was Wolverine? Or no, never mind. I was about to say he was even around. I'm sorry for anybody in comic books. Yes, I know he was in Hulk, and yes.
He was around in the '90s. Yeah, it was that giant size X-Men issue 1.
Number 1 was when. That's when he was
in the first X-Men team.
That was when he first.
Something that happened to the original 5, and then they brought in like the new team. So you got Wolverine, Colossus, Storm.
Take your word for it.
Nightcrawler.
Yep.
I didn't remember that.
Because Giant Size 1 was the first appearance of Nightcrawler. Because Nightcrawler is another. He's one of my favorites. Actually, he's kind of always been near the top.
Him.
Yeah. But even as I get older, I like him even more. And I've looked for the Nightcrawler number 1 just to collect that comic book, and it's Giant Size X-Men, which is a pain to get.
He was in, I think, only like a 2-part episode of that '90s show. But I remember, and this is old school, there was a pilot made for a cartoon a couple years before that, where Nightcrawler was in, and those are the designs that are based on the big famous X-Men arcade game.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was that game, and then that one-shot miniseries or one-shot video that got me hooked on Nightcrawler.
Yeah, Nightcrawler was.
It was just cool powers, and he looked cool.
Yeah, exactly. He was visually interesting. His powers were visually interesting. His character, once you got to know him, was actually really cool.
And he looked like a demon, so it might have been like some small rebel thing against my Christianity. I might be reaching too much into that.
Which is funny because Nightcrawler is probably like the most religious character in comic books.
That's why he's a great character. He is a devout Catholic.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And even for a time when he was retired from heroing, he was a preacher.
Awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, what was it when he was in Excalibur? Didn't he become like? Didn't he start to become bad when he was in Excalibur?
I never.
Yeah, or he was leading the Excalibur group.
I don't know much about the Excalibur group.
Okay.
Except that I know that
he led it. But
Captain Britain was in it, maybe.
Maybe I never read too much. I know I have a couple of those comic books, but it was like ones that I picked up.
Psylocke's brother. Don't worry about it.
Who the hell's Psylocke?
Don't worry about it.
What?
Olivia Munn in the last one.
Olivia Munn.
Oh, okay.
Telekinetic blades, ninja.
Yeah, I know it only for that movie.
She's pretty much
on the internet.
She's pretty much
there.
Yeah, she's pretty much the Elektra ripoff.
Except the suit.
Yeah, they got the same suit except Elektra's is red, hers is purple. Psylocke is Asian. Elektra is.
Psylocke is
Greek. What's Elektra?
Yeah, Greek.
Greek. Yeah.
Psylocke, I think, was Asian first, and then got mind swept. Comic books doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, this is the comic book episode.
Yeah, no, it's too much.
So we'll keep going. So that's like as a kid now. So now characters that I like now, and this is as I grew up, I don't know. I feel like I really got attracted to the whole self-sacrifice. Not in a just saying it that way. It's like not in a demonic or like. Cult-like self-sacrifice, but I always really enjoyed and really liked the characters that were willing to sacrifice themselves for the group. That was almost something that I wanted to. Well, it was something that I wanted to be myself, where it's like I was, kind of willing to put myself to harm to help my friends or family or any of that, which. Again, goes into some of the Army stuff of, being a medic and all of that. And, I definitely, it was one of those things, it's kind of weird getting off the comic book path just a little bit, but you read back on like all the old school, like stories of, how warriors, like it was a good death to die in battle and all of that stuff. And I feel like that's somewhere, and I'm not sure where, but it really connected with me because like even when I was in the Army, I remember thinking like I would at one point before I deployed even I got to the point that I was okay that if I died, I was completely okay with the fact that if I got killed, as long as it was that I was trying to help my guys and help somebody else. So that definitely has stayed with me. So now characters that do the self-sacrifice in movies and shows, any of that stuff, it always really gives me goosebumps, and I get physical reactions from it where I can I actually get goosebumps on my arms, and I can kind of feel like my chest pound a little bit harder. Like, man, yes, that's good for you. And that was one with Nightcrawler. How when he got killed, and the more recent, it's been a while now since he was actually killed, but when he was killed,
in comics, it happens all the time.
Yeah, people do get killed all the time, but the way he died, it was saving other people. I've also started to really appreciate intelligence and just characters being good. So Nightwing, I never was big into Nightwing when I was younger, but now Nightwing is one of my favorite characters.
His current run is really
yeah, I really need to read, because it's past Agent Grayson now, right?
I
hated Agent Grayson.
The rebirth brought it back to the suit.
Okay.
Nerds.
I am reading. Yes, I am reading the.
He did it for Batman.
Titans. Titans was good. I loved it when he took on the Batman mantle. Him and Damian, the interactions between those two was hilarious.
The Agent Grayson thing was an assignment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agent Grayson, I hated, but still. And one of the things that really sticks with me about Dick Grayson is I believe it was it Infinite Crisis? One of the Crisis, or maybe it started with Crisis on Two Worlds, but where Batman is talking to someone. I can't remember if it's the Monitor or the Anti-Monitor or whoever that guy was, and he flat out tells Batman, because he tells Batman there's infinite universes, and in all universes you can find a good and a bad of every person and all this, and basically every person. So Batman says, so there's a bad version of me, and he's like, yes. He's like, so there's a bad version of all these people.
They're doing that now. Dark Knights.
Yeah, the thing that really sticks with me is actually he's like, Dick Grayson is the one true good in every universe, and that to me it's just like, man, that has got to be one seriously good person that in every reality and universe known, that he is always a force of good, and I think they call him the light and the darkness type of really prophetic shit. So Matt, who are some of your current
I think I'll go back a step.
Sure.
When I got my teenage years with the typical teenage rebellion, and I was unrestricted of what I could read, I started to gravitate more towards the anti-heroes, like the Punisher, to an extent, like Daredevil. When he's written, he's been written super violent before, where he's like, oh, I don't care if you die.
Yeah.
And then especially the Frank Miller style Batman. That's why I loved the Batman and Batman v Superman, because he just didn't care.
And what?
Batman v Superman.
Oh yeah.
With more of the Frank Miller, I've tried. I'm not going to care about the little people that much. If you're robbing an old lady, you're going to lose your arm. That's just going to happen. But yeah, I gravitated towards the kind of that Image Dark Horse. I moved from DC Marvel to Image Dark Horse with just some of the darker characters, and eventually there's got to be substance there. Otherwise, you're just reading a book about a dude killing people, which is why very few Punisher series I actually really like. Can't think of. I think Welcome Back, Frank. Who wrote that shit? I think Garth Ennis. His run on Punisher in the 90s was really good. But just the kind of rebellion, the anti-hero thing goes back to that. There's something for everyone. But current ones that I do get a lot of comics, but I'm trying to think of ones that I actually really, really like. And Nightwing is one of them. And his book with Titans, like you said.
Well, Nightwing's hard not to like just because he's a great hero. I mean, he trained with they've even said that he's better than Batman.
He is his successor.
In ways. And
that was the point of him
taking a mantle.
Taking a mantle and taking a award. And why he was so focused on Dick Grayson was because he realized early on, this is going to be my successor.
Yeah. He's hard not to like because you get all the good stuff of Batman. You don't really get any of the bad stuff. and you also get more of a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Because Dick's another one of those. It's funny, like all the teenage characters, or at least they were teenagers when I started reading them. Like like you said, Spider-Man, Dick Grayson's another one. Any of the wise talkers, and Dick was definitely one of those. Like he's a smart ass, but I think he's a little more mature than Spider-Man with most of it, but still. As far as the anti-heroes too, that's definitely so. On the DC train, I like Red Hood for that matter.
Oh, yeah.
Red Hood is probably my favorite anti-hero.
Todd, one of the Robins.
Yeah, they're all in the Bat family. The Batman storyline just has so many amazing stories and things to go off of, and they really don't. Pretty much any point in time, they have something where they can get pretty dark with Batman. I mean, the Killing Joke, where Batgirl or Barbara Gordon gets paralyzed and becomes Oracle because Joker just walks in and shoots her in the spine. And I remember seeing that, and that was like a wake up call. Like, holy shit! I can't believe this just happened in a comic book.
That came out when I was too young to see something like that or read something like that. And when I first saw it, I'm like, just flipping through at a grocery store, people when they had the Rex, and I opened that shit, and I'm like, oh.
That was, yeah.
And then he stripped her and took pictures?
That was going to say, wasn't it? That's what I was trying to remember. I was like, I remember that it was even like borderline where, like, I read it when I was young enough that, like, they started showing her in her bra, and I'm kind of like, oh, am I supposed to see this? Like, I'm
uncomfortable.
It's like, it's a girl in her bra. I don't know if I'm supposed to see this. And here it is, the Joker, like you said, Joker's stripping her down, and it's like, oh, okay. Which now you look back at it, and it looks like it's like the beginning of a rape scene or something is about to happen. It's like, oh,
it's implied. They never say it.
Yeah,
but it was all to torture Gordon anyway.
Yeah,
but Red Hood. They've mellowed him out in Rebirth, but like right before, what was it, like during the battle for the cowl, when Batman died one of the times, and they're all fighting to see his whole family, all the Robins were fighting to see who gets to be Batman.
Yeah,
his cute little Damien thinking he was going to be Batman was adorable.
Yeah,
but he was still like super crazy violent then.
Well, that's even so. If you're not a comic book person, and even just to get a decent bead on who Red Hood is, you can watch the DC animated film Under the Red Hood. It's still one of my favorite DC animated films. Yeah. It's just awesome, and it's got a lot of good voice actors too. Jensen Ackles does Red Hood, and then Neil Patrick Harris does Nightwing. Yeah. And I forgot who does Batman, but I'm pretty sure it's
Bruce Greenwood.
Okay.
Yeah. He plays Pike in the new Star Treks.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of good voice actors in it, but yeah, just an all-around good DC animated movie if you just want to see that. But yeah, so those, I mean, like with that, some of those characters where it's just, you can really get behind them. And like I said, just kind of it's still showing you these values and showing you kind of like where comic books can go with their stories. And I don't know, I'm trying to think, Matt, do you know any like just really? Well, you're talking about Watchmen earlier, so like getting into like kind of the darker side.
The darker stuff. And Jeremy, you've seen the movie Watchmen, right?
No.
No? Still?
Still no.
Oh my gosh, I've at least seen the movie. I never read the comic, but.
No, I didn't read Watchmen until much later after its release, and you'd hear about this like amazing book, and like these superheroes that aren't heroes, because they used to get Wizard magazine, which was a comic book magazine, which talked about all kinds of stuff. You'd see the jokes about the big blue dick.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this book?
Yeah. Why are they talking about blue penises? Yeah, it's a comic book.
But there's a dude that's blue and he's got his dick out.
He's just naked all the time.
But yeah, that's a meaty graphic novel that's got like 3 or 4 stories going on at once. So it's if anybody picks it up, I recommend it, but take your time. But that deals with all kinds of stuff. It's kind of revisionist history of like what happens if was Reagan it was Nixon who extended his presidency and like used heroes to do it. you see like the comedian who's used by the government to assassinate JFK, and there's these dark. It's hard to explain because it's so meaty, but yeah, it's like a crime novel with a conspiracy novel with heroes going too far, like Rorschach.
Right. Well, and I think again, I didn't read the actual comic, but so since you did, how well would you say that the movie adaptation was of the book?
With the exception of the ending, it's just about spot on, especially if you get the director's cut.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, they changed up the ending, which is contentious to some people. Some that think that they shouldn't have changed it. I think the change is fine. It's hard to go into without spoiling both of them.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say, don't say too much, just in
case.
Can
you say why they changed it?
They felt like I do that the comic book one wouldn't translate completely well.
Okay.
So they changed it up a little. But
yeah. And
I think it works overall.
And Watchmen, I didn't think about that till just now. And again, I'm basing all my Watchmen knowledge simply off the movie. But when you go to, talking about people in the values, like I'm trying to keep this as much about as so we get to talk about comic books and cool nerdy stuff while still having a little bit of an inner message as well. But for anybody that's watched Watchmen, you get to the end, like Matt's talking about the ending there, and you see with Rorschach especially the fact that like this guy is willing to stick with his morals to do the right thing so much that he just flat out says, "Look, you're not going to stop me from doing good things." Now, Rorschach definitely is an anti-hero, I would say, because he does hurt and kill people. They're bad people, but still.
But overall, he wanted to. He thought
he was trying to do good things.
Basically, what happens without spoiling it is there's a conspiracy that the heroes are trying to stop, but when they get to it and they see some things, they're like, "Well, shit, maybe it's fine.
Yeah,
maybe we should stop it.
Maybe this is the best route." And Rorschach is straight out like, "You guys are fucking crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to stop you no matter what. You're going to have to kill me."
Well, that's, again, I don't know the comic book ending, but that's a little bit of what happens in the movie. I mean, they all get to that point, and I don't know what his name is, the Batman, Paladin?
Night Owl.
Night Owl. Night Owl is kind of like, you realize he's really having this inner struggle with what he's being told, but you can kind of see like he's accepting it, but unwillingly. And then you have Rorschach who just says, "No, I'm not. I'm not budging on."
Who was his partner?
Who was his partner? And he just says, "No, I'm not budging on my morals. This is wrong, and the only way to stop me is to kill me." And then they blow him up.
Guess what? Yeah, that's the only spoiler it is.
Well, that was in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh my God, spoilers, guys! No, I don't care. I'm probably not gonna watch it.
This is spoilers of a movie that's how old now?
Yeah, it's old. He wasn't just killed. Dr. Manhattan atomized him.
Or like poop.
Oh yeah, it was very very cinematically done. Where it was a Rorschach face on the ground, with his atoms.
That's
blood atoms.
that's panel to panel. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So again, you can see like some of these things, and I guess I could see that the whole Rorschach thing could be a reason why people wouldn't stick to their morals to that point. Maybe. But the fact that that there are people in this world, and I fully believe there are definitely people in the world that are like that, where they stick to their morals to do the right thing to that extent. And those are things. I'm not saying you're only going to learn that in comic books, but you can definitely learn that and take that from comic books as you read through different stories and all that. So going along with that as well, so some of the story things that you can also see, just ones that are popping into my head, like, I feel like people that don't actually read comics or
Jereme
or don't know. Well, Jereme.
Sorry, they're lame.
Jereme at least. Jereme at least has watched the shows or played video games and stuff that involve them and knows at least some of the lore. But you go into it, and like Matt was kind of alluding to earlier with Spider-Man, that there's they're not all powerful. They do still have their own problems, where I feel like most people are like, "Oh, you're a superhero. How could you possibly have any problems?" Yeah. And it's like, well, Peter Parker, he still deals with that. He's a nerd at school, and he gets picked on and bullied by Flash Thompson. And then you have, you get into Green Arrow, and the episode where Speedy is using drugs.
No, that first season.
Yeah, and
that was rough.
Well, I'm talking the comic book.
But, yeah,
okay,
but Speedy, yeah.
But they did also show, you know, in the in Arrow as well.
Yeah,
where
Arrow speaking.
Yeah. So,
in the comic book, it was Roy Harper.
Yes.
And it was heroin.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's rough.
there's actually a panel where Batman and Superman, or I'm sorry, not Batman, Green Arrow or is it Green Arrow and Batman?
Green Arrow. It was Green Arrow and Green Lantern.
Okay,
it was their team up.
Right. So they come into the room and it's literally
the cover.
Yeah, the cover, literally with Speedy with the tube wrapped around his arm and the heroin bottle, and I don't. Is the needle actually like still in his arm even?
I don't know if it's that gross.
It was pretty like intense, especially for a cover. Like, yeah, look.
Yeah, they had to. It was I think the first Marvel comic published without the Comics Code approval, because Stanley was like, "Yeah, we're gonna do this because it's right," because it was during like the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What was it that Speedy got hooked on in the TV show era? Was that opioids?
I think it was.
Did they make that commentary? I can't remember.
I think they did, but then they turned it into
that super juice.
Vertigo.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't remember if that was like directly. Was that season they had it? Yeah.
It was still Roy.
No, it was Thea.
Was it?
Yeah.
They were going with
Yeah, Thea got hooked on something.
Because
I mean, Roy got hooked on like the super juice later.
The Mirakuru.
Yeah, but it was like
That's right. It was Thea.
With Thea, it was like just the partying and drugging. Remember?
Yeah, that was their way of bringing in this comic episode because it was such a pivotal point in the comics. Like, holy crap! Not only is somebody using drugs in the comic, but a superhero is using drugs and going down that path. And
was he using them to like cope with the shit he was seeing and doing, or was it just like
I think so. It was. Yeah, it was.
I can't remember. It
was an older book, and
oh yeah,
it was
mostly
in.
But so I mean, they touch on stuff like that. That Green Lantern has had a bevy of issues that he's gone through,
like going crazy and murdering an entire city.
Yeah,
becoming a supervillain.
Yeah, I mean,
he went around the universe, killing Green Lanterns to collect the rings.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I forgot. Was he trying to? I don't know as much about Green Lantern.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly like why he was doing it, except for just crazy.
Was it, I thought he was trying to gain as much power as he could, or something.
Something like that.
Which that's the one. That was actually a really cool kind of getting on its own tangent of Green Lantern. The comic where Kyle Rayner, which was he second Green Lantern? Fourth? Oh wow,
he was in between John and Guy.
Okay, so
John's the black one.
Black one, what?
Green Lantern.
He's the one that was in the.
Take your word for it.
In the Justice
League. Never watched Justice League cartoon?
Not really, no.
Oh.
I've seen like episodes here or there.
John Stewart, the Marine. Green Lantern is actually kind of fun just to watch because of the whole fact that they create, what they can think of. So it's like, Hal was always making he was always making planes and kind of kiddie things because all he could think of was like, I don't know, race car, and then you have John Stewart, who's like super military dude, so he's bringing tank, attack helicopter, air.
Except in the cartoon where for some reason he just liked to make beams and bubbles.
He did make a lot of steel girders.
He didn't have imagination. That's why Kyle I always liked more because he was an artist.
Right, Kyle, he was actually a comic book artist, and he would make some of the most elaborate constructs that were just amazing.
Jeremy, what kind of construct would you make?
Like the power of a Green Lantern ring?
Mm-hmm.
You can make anything, right?
Anything, yeah, your imagination.
Probably Autobots and dinosaurs.
Yeah, I was going to go with dicks.
Dicks
can you imagine,
if
some smart ass.
I was having that shitty mood where I was like, no, fuck you, I'm going to kill you with a dick.
Beat you with a dick.
I probably would do that.
That would happen more, I think, in the real world. There'd be a hell of a lot more.
There'd be the insult to the beating, right?
There'd be a lot of immature constructs if that was in the real world. What was I originally going to say? What was a cool comic book issue was where Kyle actually puts on all of the different lantern rings. Like he's the only one that can actually handle the stress of it and actually use that amount of power.
See, there's multiple lantern rings.
I know there's other cores.
Yeah,
but I don't remember what they're all about.
Most people know yellow because of Sinestro, but
yellow, and then rage.
Rage is red. Love is
purple.
What's the one that's got the planet?
Oh, he's just a Green Lantern.
Is that just
Yeah, he's just a Green Lantern. Yeah. There's Orange, which is Envy.
Envy?
I thought it was Envy.
Yeah, maybe.
Because Orange is the one where it only has the one member, right?
Yeah.
The goblin-looking guy.
Like, yeah, gimme.
Yeah. And then there's Yellow, and then there's we already said Yellow. Blue.
Yeah.
Are they all like Sins, more or less?
Pretty much.
What's Green then? Like what is
Green? Is
Will.
Will? Okay. So not Sins.
No, not.
Well,
there's a theme to them besides
It's like an emotion. They're all emotions.
Okay.
Yeah, because you have will, fear, rage, love. Is blue peace or
something like that?
yeah.
Peacekeeper.
Orange is like
love.
envy.
Or love is the purple
There's
one. Crazy love, like over the top.
Yeah, like she's killing people.
Like swim fan type love?
Yes. Okay. Swim fan. Jesus.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm trying to think of another like pivotal one. That's the thing. I mean, when you think comic books, there's a lot of comic book companies and stuff out there. Obviously, Marvel and DC are the big ones, and then you have Image and Dark Horse. But there's so many other ones.
IDW.
Is that who does Ninja Turtles?
And like shit. Dynamite does a lot of weird stuff. Boom Studios is up and coming.
Yeah, definitely. I would say all the morals or values, though, I definitely got those from obviously Marvel and DC, since that's what was around.
Yeah.
And they really, comics are pretty good for like tackling issues, though, too.
Yeah.
I mean, even
in the lens of like something silly.
Yeah.
Kind of like how old Star Trek used to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like they even, even as a kid, like they would deal. Well, there you go, dealing with drugs. They would deal with racism. New day and age, they've started to get into, like gay characters and just LGBT community in general.
That's what was great about X-Men, because even in the 60s, it was always a substitute for the gay community.
So they have gay characters?
It was. They had to do it, like, under the radar.
Yeah, because it wasn't.
Yeah. Because, it's like with the second X-Men movie, they showed it off great at Bobby Drake's parents. Have you ever tried not being a mutant?
Yeah.
So there's always this subtext.
That's neat.
Yeah, you might have to read between the lines a little bit on some of it.
Because it was the 60s. They tried to shut that shit down a lot.
Yeah. I've always been glad that comics exist. I mean, because I enjoy like the TV adaptations and stuff like that. But
it's hard.
I didn't know they tackled like shit like that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I guess like existentially, because you can see it in like the movies and shows sometimes. But I didn't know if they were doing it way back then.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I've always had that thing.
Well, X-Men was, like you said, X-Men was like that really good one for pointing out the whole being different from other people. Like, they really tackled that. It's not even just being, like, gay, but just the
civil
fact...
rights, too.
Yeah, just the fact that, hey, you're different. You're a mutant. Whereas, you get into some of the other ones, DC and that, or even other Marvel characters, where they don't get so much into, like, you're a mutant, you're a freak, there's something wrong with you. I mean, like Spider-Man, it was always just kind of like, oh, you're a hero. Oh, you have superpowers? That's cool.
Oh, actually, though, what's funny is in Ultimate Spider-Man did this a lot, too, where people would always be like, oh, get out of here, you mutant freak. He's like, I'm not a mutant. All right.
Yeah, which it's funny that people, that people are okay with people are okay with superpowers unless you're a mutant. Like, oh, Hulk, you're okay because it's science accident. Spider-Man, science accident. Captain America, science accident. It's okay if it was done with science, but if it's a genetic mutation, then all of a sudden
it's okay if it was human created.
Yeah. But if it was,
if we force this choice onto somebody else, that's okay. It's not your fault.
Yeah.
But you were born that way? No, that's your fault.
Gross.
Yeah. You need to go get cured.
Well, and that right there. So there you go. That playing into the whole gay community thing. The whole you were born that way. Oh, that's your fault.
Yeah.
Change. You should change that. I don't. You're not born that way. It's you did something, and it's that whole narrative again of So you get
like those kind of Nazi overtones, where because they're different and they don't fit what you want specifically, they must be killed or cured.
Yeah.
Those are the only two options.
Fearing what you don't know and all that stuff. But X-Men was always really good about that. Although you kind of look at it like Professor X said, no, you deserve to be in the community. You're just the same as everybody else. But hang on, we're going to take you away to a special school and keep you gated away from everybody.
Just so that maybe you could learn to not blow everyone up with your powers.
Yeah.
It's like you have a really dangerous animal, you train it away from society, right? So it's okay for it to be around them.
Oh, so now they're animals, Jeremy?
I mean, I guess we're all animals.
And here's where they flipped the script where like the 90s influence came in. There was a couple of instances where you saw behind the scenes of why Professor X kept Wolverine around, because in case they found any mutants that couldn't be helped,
then Wolverine
he
was
would
there to
send
solve the
Wolverine
problem.
there to take care of it.
Oh, that makes sense.
There's one comic in particular, I can't remember what it was, but basically some kid that literally just explodes. Except for his body.
Is that the
so
one
he just
where
creates explosions.
like he creates them, but he doesn't die, right? Like he regenerates and then explodes again.
Yeah.
Is that the one where the explosions keep getting stronger as he's getting older or something?
I forgot, but like he ended up finding him in a cave, like because he had killed his entire family, his entire village. Wolverine was like, "I got you." He wanted to. No, he was like, "You got to stay away from me."
It was like a mercy kill.
Yeah, the tangled alcoholism with Tony Stark.
Oh yeah,
Demon in the Bottle storyline where he was straight up an alcoholic piece of shit.
I can see that.
They touched on it a little bit in the movies.
Yeah, that's especially why I can see it. So they did do it for a little while. He had that whole like man in a can moment.
Yeah.
Well, and that's where they get into the mental health stuff because that's why I will preach about how the new Superman. How I loved it so much because I've always been a Superman fan, and I've always had to defend him because everybody's like, no, he's too perfect.
I was one of those guys until recently.
Yeah,
I started writing him better.
There's nothing wrong with him. You can't beat him. How do you beat Superman? And I always had to defend him and that was always my only thing that I had was yes, but he still has emotions, And the latest Superman movie, I finally was like, yes, you guys showed it perfectly in the scene where his dad, where Jonathan tells him, no, don't save me because you're going to give yourself away if you do that. And that moment, I can finally say, like, yes. Now, really think about what that would do to him, mentally, that he has to watch his dad die violently, and he could have stopped it, but he doesn't.
And he respects his father's wishes so much, where he has fortitude to be like, this is what he wants.
Right. Like how much is that going to mess you up? I mean, he can be alien and super strength and all these super abilities, but he still has to deal with that. And it, same movie. Like you can just see he does like that cry of like pain and anger when he has to break Zod's neck because it's either him or those people, and he has to make that choice. So now he has to live with the fact that I had to kill this guy.
I think he fried those people. He did it for the world because you didn't see them after, and there was a trail of black smoke off screen coming from where they were. So I think that's what finally pushed him.
Yeah, because he did kill those people. Right. Oh.
And the notion of go rewatch the movie.
I will. I'll have to watch because I could have sworn they showed like the line stopped and the family was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, they showed that, but then you didn't see them again. So if they were alive, I think there would have been like a.
No, but I thought it showed like because the dad was the closest one to the lasers, and I thought
rewatch it.
I'm going to have to because I thought for sure they were still there. But
it was that realization that he's just going to keep doing this.
Right. So again, it's like you have to look at the mental health of heroes in general. I mean, I'm using Superman because, like I said, finally you can see that there are things. Superman does have weaknesses and all that, and I can get into the whole, magic hurts him and all that. But everybody likes to pick at that one, so we'll stay off that.
Zatanna would kill him.
But the mental health of all of these heroes, you have to figure like what that does to them on, what they have to do in order to like be the heroes, and
There's a great story. Not to cut you off, sorry, because you have talked so much. I forgot what it was called again because there's just so much. But there was I think a couple issue series where it showed the Justice League getting there too late, having to deal with the angry people and the grieving people, and just this psychological of you have all these powers, but you didn't save us.
You're supposed to be here and save us.
Yeah, and there's that pressure of can't be everywhere. Like, it was done really well. It's not just all like, I'm here to save the day.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you really want to get into mental health and saving people. I mean, look at Flash. How much Flash just fucks up the universe because he's time traveling and he wants to save his mom because he has the ability, but he's going to screw everything up. I mean, like, he's got to have... And Flash has always been one of my favorite heroes. I've just always liked him even as a kid, and I'm sure when I started liking him it was just because, hey, he's cool, he's red, and he runs fast, and that's awesome. But, you know, like, now it's like, God, the show, I feel like the show does a really good job of showing that, like, you know, that inner turmoil of having to go back and forth.
What do I have to do to not fuck up?
well, but it's just kind of like, I just want to have a normal life. I want my mom to not be dead, and it's just like the repercussions that he is going through because he's tried to change that. I mean, even in the show now, he's tried to change it. Like pretty much every season, like three times now.
Actually, actively try to change it. I think only like
twice.
The first time to just see, and then when he finally was like, "Fuck it, I'm doing this."
When he did Flashpoint.
Yeah. Fuck the world. Fuck the universe. Fuck all these people.
Yeah, I'm just doing it. I don't care.
I'm just doing it.
So yeah. So I mean, again, there's a lot of stories and things that comics tackle that I feel like people just don't realize because it's a comic book and they're just like, oh no, those are just stories. It's like, no, read between the lines. They're actually talking about real issues here.
Alright, now, Jereme, from an outsider, coming into all this media from us nerds, saying, you should watch this, you should check this out. Think, like your process, the enjoyment of superhero stuff.
Well, I would say I like to dabble. I'm a dabbler. I like the movies. Especially because I don't have any hang-ups or preconceptions about what's supposed to happen.
It's important.
So, like, all that nerd rage that happens on the internet where they're like, he's supposed to do this or blah, blah. Like, I don't really have that problem. I'm like, no, that was a good ending. I like that ending. I mean, yeah, maybe what you're talking about could have been cooler, but this works. And, I mean, how many times can you really make that argument? How many times have the comics rebooted? Now, because they're doing it in the movies, you're angry about it?
Oh,
I never really understood that.
As a fanboy hater, for that reason, I get you.
But I will say I finally got it. Like, that first episode of Discovery, I was just like, these are not the Klingons I'm familiar with.
Oh, you got the...
And it's real jarring.
The first moment of, oh, I understand the rage a little.
But mostly, I really feel like I didn't get the same experience you guys did because you watched it on the app, where apparently there's, like, no commercials. And I had 40 minutes of show separated by 20 minutes of commercials.
Yeah.
So you get like a little snippet, and then you have to sit through 3 minutes of commercials.
Okay, I'm going to go out there. Commercial.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm out there. Let me go over this. Commercial.
So you can't get any continuity. I don't feel like you can really build any caring about anything in it. Because you get 5 minutes of show, 3 minutes of commercials. And as somebody who's used to only watching stuff on Netflix, where there are no commercials, they just fill me with rage.
Yeah. I also want to point out briefly that Jeremy is actually wearing an Iron Man shirt.
True.
In this comic book podcast where he doesn't read comics.
Yeah, I always liked, as soon as I found out about him, I liked Iron Man. Because he was like Batman but cooler for me. And he didn't seem so obviously mentally damaged. Yeah.
He didn't seem so mentally damaged?
He didn't seem so mentally damaged. And he seemed more realistic to me than Batman ever did in the comics. Like, Batman always has a solution. But at least from what I knew about Iron Man, sometimes he just gets fucked. And I like that.
You like watching dudes get fucked?
Sure, you can take it that way if you want.
I got a giggle from the peanut gallery. She's giggling.
Just like, I mean, I've never read the comics, so maybe Batman does get beaten up and has to go and make the perfect...
Not as much
early Batman got his ass kicked.
No, and that is a good point. I definitely agree with you on that. That, you know, it's nice that they can show that, you know, you can't win every situation. Because that's true in life. You know, sometimes you just can't win. Yeah. I mean, you can be...
Unless you're rich.
I really liked when they did that in, what was it? Iron Man 3, I think it was.
Oh, when he was dealing with the PTSD?
Yeah, with the PTSD.
I loved Iron Man 3.
And maybe it was in Avengers 2 when, what's his name? The black guy got shot down.
Yeah.
And he tried to save War Machine, but he couldn't make it in time. He
Civil War.
Fucking hit the ground. Yeah, in Civil War, that was a great moment. It was just like, no, he's got these really awesome suits and all these cool toys, but he still couldn't save his friend.
Let me give you some insight quick. I want to say, was it right away? I thought they were going to kill Brody. because I think he had recently gotten his heart punched through by Thanos in the books.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Oh, I thought he was dead too. I
Yeah.
was really surprised when they didn't kill him. I'll admit, part of me was a little disappointed that they didn't.
yeah, because in the comics Civil War, there was a death. A character named Goliath, who nobody would know.
Yeah. He was a random character. It was kind of like
He was related to Hank Pym.
Yeah.
Which apparently they've cast him in the new Ant-Man movie. Anyway, but yeah. So I forgot what I was saying. Carry on.
Yeah. I don't know. I always thought you always had to defend Superman, right?
Yeah.
And I always thought Batman was the same way, except he wasn't an alien. He was just a human who was always invincible.
I'm Batman.
Yeah, because he's Batman. And people are like, who would win? Fight between Superman and Batman. I'm like, it doesn't matter. They're both immortal. That was always how I felt about it. I'm like, it just depends on who's writing the story. The guy who writes Superman or the guy who writes Batman. That's who's going to win.
That's a lot of comic books.
Yeah.
Who's guest starring in whose book?
Yeah, exactly. So I always had that same problem, but Iron Man didn't seem to have that same weakness. Spider-Man, who I also really liked as the nerdy kid who, he was super strong. He had the extra sense, but for the most part, he made all of his own gadgets because he was super smart. I really liked in the new Spider-Man movies where they actually went with that. It's like the serum, he has to make that shit.
Yeah, Homecoming.
Unlike in the Tobey Maguire one where they just gave him the weird hand spinnerets, so that was a little weird copy out of it.
Yeah, that was one I think a lot of people were. I know I was super happy when they actually said, "Hey, look, he has web cartridges." Because
Andrew Garfield's movies.
Yeah, the Garfield movies and then the Homecoming movie. But yeah, that was one in the Tobey Maguire. Where it's like, wait, what? Like,
and they went,
he just makes it.
His hands had little hairs on it.
Yeah,
I'm like, maybe a little too spidery.
Yeah,
that's not actually. Never mind.
But
well, there's that. So you might know. I actually like that description because I was always just kind of like, I always looked at it as like, how does he stick? He just sticks to things. So
that's just. I don't know. I don't like it. I think it's. I don't know how to explain it.
How's it supposed to work in the comics?
"Quote unquote" realistically, I'm not sure.
Oh. I thought that was a cool description of, hey, this is how it works. He has barbs.
He can stick with everything. That's the thing.
Yeah, so he's got those everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in the cartoon,
how the shit does that go
with
through
his knees all the time? It's not actually his feet.
How does that go through his fucking suit? That little hair. Does he have to buy a new suit with his little hairs poking out? That doesn't make any sense.
They are, extremely tiny to the point that they would probably even go through the weave of the material. Because, they zoom in on his thumb, and it's like, oh, okay, here's his thumb. Zoom, 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 zoom. So, okay, here you can see bunches of them everywhere.
The only kind of explanation I can give is, in an alternate universe where his daughter gets powers, she has tactile telekinesis, they call it.
Okay.
Where she has it so much where she could, if it's close enough, just kind of...
Okay.
So it might just be a genetic mutation to just, I don't know.
Well, maybe it's a thing, activated subconsciously by his brain. He's got the hairs everywhere, so he can stick with everything, but he's only using it on his hands.
Maybe. I don't like the hair idea that much.
Yeah. I liked it because it tied it more into, nature, because that's how spiders actually do it.
Right. That's what I liked about it as well.
I thought that was neat.
Anyway, off topic. Tangents
and stuff. Yeah. That's how conversations go.
Yeah. Well, no, that's... I knew that's how this one was going to go, and I was kind of hoping and expecting for it to go this way. So Jeremy, you said you always Iron Man. Do you have any, would you say now, after seeing New Age movies and stuff, that's someone that you really like? Or is it still Iron Man?
I like somebody now for a different reason than I liked them before. So I also really like Nightcrawler as soon as I saw him, because he was visually really cool. And I like the idea that he just teleported around and there was that cool smoky bit. And when I found out that he was going through hell, it made it even cooler.
That's why it smells like
sulfur.
Yeah, but I didn't know originally that he was super religious. I didn't really pay very much attention to the comics, or not the comics, the TV show.
It wasn't always shown, and in the TV show,
X-Men 2, they went into it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And tattoos.
That moment in the plane when he's talking about it, that actually made me like him for that. Because even though I don't personally believe in any of it, he's so fervent in his belief, and I can understand why it is if he goes through hell.
Yeah. In the universe where that shit could probably be real.
Yeah. Or I was like, okay, that's added a lot more depth to him than I ever had in my mind for him before, which I thought was really neat.
There's actually a really cool episode, and it's in one of the cartoons. And Matt, you might know which one it is. I can't remember. I think
if it's Nightcrawler focused, it was probably X-Men Evolution.
I think it was
He was the main
Evolution.
character.
Where, well, I'm not sure.
So it wouldn't have been the 90s, like I said.
No, it wasn't. It was definitely one of the new ones. It may have been Evolution, but I thought it was actually the Wolverine in the X-Men.
Was he in that?
But there's a part, and it's I mean, and it's a cartoon and it's made for kids, but if you look into it more than that, which I kind of was, it is super creepy because it's still when Nightcrawler is learning how to use his powers. So he can teleport, but he can't teleport as far. Like, he can only teleport, like, 20 feet forward or something. Like, he can't go, like, adult Nightcrawler can go pretty damn far. Pretty much anywhere he can
and
imagine.
like do it in succession where it seems like he's...
Yeah.
Right. So in this cartoon, he can only go a certain distance, and they're trying to get him to teleport farther. And Forge is there. So Forge creates this device, and it's like a chest harness thing that he puts on, and he's like, yeah, this is going to let you go farther.
That's Evolution.
Is it Evolution?
Yeah.
Okay. So Laura gets to be Oracle. Maybe
Thank you, Sarah.
maybe Sarah can be Watchtower.
Yeah,
You want to be Watchtower, Sarah?
She doesn't know what that means.
Oh, okay.
No,
So,
So anyway, so
just say yes.
it's really cool because when Nightcrawler teleports, at this point he doesn't even know that he goes through the Hell Dimension.
Okay, I remember.
And then when he goes, because it's allowing him to go farther, it means he also has to
Takes more
spend
time.
a longer time in the Hell Dimension. So when he first does this, he freaks the fuck out because he goes into the Hell Dimension, he sees all these demons, he's like, oh my god, what is this? What am I doing? Oh my god! And he's just freaking out. And he's like trying to run and get away from him because these demons are trying to get him. And then all of a sudden he like pops out and he's, 4 times farther than he's ever gone before. But at that moment, I was just like, oh my god, like that would be terrifying because I think he's like a teenager in that show.
Yeah,
He's still fairly young. So it's like, think of being a teenager and suddenly like, I'm in hell. Oh my god, there's demons all around me. What do I do? And okay, I'm out. Like that. That makes it. It's like Nightcrawler's damn lucky he ever teleported again. Because if it would be that risky, I don't know.
Yeah, that would be rough to deal with.
But yeah, no, Nightcrawler
At any age, but especially as a teenager.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I'm trying to think of any other teleporty character that has ever like done that.
Like what?
Where it's like, where do you go?
Yeah.
How does it work besides just shifting?
So actually, one of my favorite characters, easily top 5, is Blink from Age of Apocalypse. I first saw her in the Age of Apocalypse comic, but also in the new X-Men
the one that can make portals.
movies.
Yeah, she's going to be on the show Gifted.
Yes, I cannot wait.
Next week?
Monday.
Ooh.
Yes, I just saw a commercial today. So I'm really curious to see that
It's
because
got Bill
Who?
from True Blood.
Oh.
Suck
yeah,
He plays the dad.
But no. So Blink is easily my favorite teleporting character, even though I do like Nightcrawler a lot. But with her, but I don't think they ever said like where if you actually go somewhere, like because her portals are just connected that she can put them so much farther out because she can teleport straight to space. There's a comic where like Blink is their way from like X Mansion on the ground in Westchester to their space station. It's just like, hey, Blink, can you give us up there? Yeah, sure. Boop. There you go.
Can't she pull a Cisco and do interdimensions? Because I thought the original Exiles team was in another dimension.
They do.
A parallel universe.
And Cisco.
Flash.
From Flash.
I haven't watched the TV show.
At all.
I should say I watched like the first 2 episodes, and I was like,
Spoilers.
I like the darker tone of Arrow as opposed
You
to
should
the
watch Flash.
kind of campier
Flash.
tone
Yeah, I
of
like
Flash.
Flash. But again, that's
spoilers. Cisco gets superpowers.
Whoever that is.
He was the
Mexican. Wow.
Yeah. With long hair.
Never mind.
Cisco
No.
Ramon.
So shh.
Is he the one who like makes like the funny jokes?
Yes.
Ish? Okay.
Yes. He's the comedic
I still
relief.
can't like picture him, but I know exactly who you're talking about now.
But yeah, no, I was really happy with Age of Apocalypse. Or what the hell was it called?
Yeah.
The movie? No, the first one that Blink is. Days of Future Past.
Days of Future Past.
Is where Blink is in. I was really happy because they actually had her use her powers how she can. I was really scared that they were just going to be like, look, I make a portal, you go through, and I'm done. They actually showed that she can open multiple ones and attack through them, and hits, because like that's how she fights in the comics. She throws her little spiked dagger things through one, and it like speeds up and hits like a freaking bullet, and it'll hit you in the back and
That's cool.
5 other ways because she just throws it through one and it comes out at 5.
Steal that from X.
Did who? Valve? Oh, Portal. So, but yeah, I don't think they ever disclosed how hers
do you
worked.
think which one came first, like the Warhammer 40k universe, where they had to travel through hell to do interdimensional travel, or like faster than light travel, effectively?
You're asking the
Because they go
wrong
through
guy
hell.
about Warhammer.
Or
Yeah,
if,
I
like,
never played Warhammer.
if Nightcrawler came first.
Nightcrawler,
I think
90s.
I don't know. Warhammer's old tabletop. It might be 80s.
Yeah.
I think, but Nightcrawler I think was 70s.
Really?
Was Giant Size in the
Giant
70s?
Size is his first.
That'd be neat if that was actually a connection.
Yeah, I don't know when they established that lore for Nightcrawler.
Yeah, they may not have established that right out of the gate.
I mean, either way, it's a really cool
Concept
idea. It's one of the few things I remember about Will talking about the 40k universe, because I was never really interested in it.
That actually, getting off comics just a little bit, but the whole traveling through hell, that one, what was that movie where they travel through hell and then they get stuck in it with, it was such a creepy movie too.
I know Constantine goes there.
It's the one where it's a space travel
You need
movie,
to watch this show.
and it's got what is it, Sam Neill, the guy from Jurassic Park. Is it Event Horizon? No, that's Lawrence Fishburne.
No, Sam Neill's in the Horizon.
Is it?
But I can't remember to tell. I don't think.
No, yeah, it is.
Is that Grant?
Grant from Jurassic Park. Okay. So in that movie, basically, and I realize anybody listening can't see what I'm doing with my hands, but the way that they travel through space, the way that they travel through space is they have a machine that bends it. So you bend one side to the other, and then when they touch, you go through the pinhole and come out the other side, and then space bends back, and you effectively travel from one end of the universe to the other in a split second. But what happens in the movie, and spoiler, but it's a freaking 90s movie, so if you haven't seen it, too bad. What ends up happening is when they go through, they get stuck, and it turns out that they actually had traveled. I don't know if they're always traveling through the hell dimension, but they get stuck in the hell dimension.
Okay.
And some trippy shit starts happening, and like all this murderous shit. There's a scene in there where basically a guy gets strung up by like skin hooks, and then the guy cuts him from neck to penis, and and he's hanging. So as soon as he cuts him open, all of his guts just spill out onto this table, and he's just like,
that sounds awful.
It's a great movie.
It's really good, but the first time I saw it, it creeped me out big time because I don't know. I'm sure I was a teenager, but it still scared the crap out of me. I was definitely too young to see it.
And it's long gone because this was when they used film kids, an even post-R cut
of Event Horizon.
Ooh. That apparently it's lost because the film's lost.
So yeah, but comic books. Well, I feel like
I guess to answer your original question, which I don't think I ever actually did. If there's anybody now from the new movies that I liked, I never liked before. I kind of like Cap now.
Okay.
Only because he was willing to go so far for somebody he'd been friends with for so long.
Yeah.
Like, being willing to fight.
That's right, people. Loyalty. One of those values you can learn.
Again, though, too, with Cap. I've always preferred him over Superman because of he is morally tied to what America stands for, not necessarily what it is. Mm-hmm. So when he sees something wrong, he's like, this is wrong. And it doesn't matter if it's from Agent What's-His-Fuck or if it's the President of the United States. I'll be like, no.
Because everything I ever knew about Cap was that, like, he does what's right because it's right. And I was like, okay, I can identify with that. But he's always very, at least in my mind, very goody two-shoes about it.
Yeah, a little bit. He was too much of a Boy Scout.
And that was too much for me.
That's because he's from the boys.
Yeah.
But as he stays around more, he's like, all right.
The fucked up shit he did to try and save Bucky in the last movie, I was like, okay, maybe I can see this guy as an actual person as opposed to just somebody who's like, yeah, Captain America. Da-da-da. Like they have him in all those like after-school ads.
Yeah, like that's the Captain America.
Yeah. That was actually one everybody...
Hey, kids, you messed up.
You messed up.
That's why I feel like a lot of people think that I'm a much bigger Cap fan than I really am. Brian, I know, when I told him, we were talking about something, and he said something about how, Captain America. I was like, yeah, I'm not really a huge fan of his, and I swear it, like, dumbstruck him for, like, a good solid minute. Like, he was just like, wait, what?
What?
Like... You don't like Cap?
The Army guy doesn't like Cap?
Yeah, and it's not that I don't like him. He's just not like he's definitely not in my top 5 superheroes that I could say, but not that I don't like him, and like you said, there are good reasons I do like that he.
Why the hell hasn't this man been promoted?
Yeah.
I think he's gone beyond captain.
Yeah.
Dear God.
Yeah, that's one.
That's just funny because it's his name.
Yeah, they just you're ever and always a captain, which is actually for anybody not in the military, captain is not that high of a rank.
I know, that's why I'm like, he should be like 4-star by now.
It's only the 3rd highest officer.
The new Thor movie's not out yet, right?
Not yet.
Soon.
I will say that I'm not a fan of the new haircut for Thor.
No, it's not a choice.
Yeah.
He becomes a slave.
Yeah, but still he looks dumb. He looks dumb to me. Right, like I got used to the long flowing locks, the Valhalla look, and now
it's Ragnarok. If they're going by the myth, there's not going to be much
Joe Blow American Soldier, which I don't really care for. No offense. Right.
You look dumb. That's what you're saying.
Oh no, it looks dumb on him, right? You get used to seeing Chris Evans.
It's supposed to be the shock, though,
Thor.
so your reaction is good.
Well, so what's also going to possibly is it going to bother you when Cap has a beard in Avengers 3?
Oh, I'm almost certain that it will bother.
You haven't seen the poster?
Yeah,
No, I haven't seen the poster.
Of Hobo on the Run road cap?
No.
Oh yeah, he's got full beard. Yeah.
Does it look good on him though?
I think it does.
Yeah, because I don't think the new haircut looks good on Chris Evans. To me,
Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah,
Chris Hemsworth, whatever his name is.
The Chris.
Evans is Cap, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And actually, Chris Pine, when he was on SNL, his opening skit was about all the Chris's.
Yeah,
and he brought a board out with all the This is Chris Evans. He's Captain America. I am Captain Kirk.
So true. Too many Chris's.
There are a lot.
Yeah,
of
not only
Chris's.
the beard, but he's the suit is all worn out and stuff. So he's still wearing his suit. He uses it still, but like all the colors are dull.
Oh,
like all the parts are falling off. So there's just the start imprints.
Oh, I didn't see that. I thought he was just wearing his like Shadow Ops suit that he has.
No, I think it's become that.
Oh.
That's all he has. But I want to know what he's using as a shield.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to know.
Right, because he left the shield behind.
Unless Wakanda made him a new one.
Or if he went to, well, no, because Tony made him his little hollow shield thing too that he starts using for a little while there.
Well, did he make that in the movie?
I didn't see that.
No. He didn't make. I'm saying in the comic books.
Well, Tony Stark's not going to make him shit.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't think he would go to the little hollow shield because Tony made that for him.
It's already canon though, because Coulson uses it on Shield. It's part of his hand.
Oh, really? I don't watch.
Spoiler: Agents of Shield. He gets his hand cut off.
Agents of Shield. I don't watch that. So
that was an Easter egg moment for me. I think the season before last. Nerd.
Yeah. I thought it was cool. I finally watched a video about, like, you see that Iron Man isn't willing to go as far as he thinks Cap is. Like, in the end of Civil War 2, when, like, he's got his hands up, or Civil War, whatever. They talked about how he still has power, and he could have shot Cap in the face if he'd wanted to.
Yeah.
But he decided to let Cap kill him instead, because he couldn't kill somebody he considered to be his friend. I thought that was a nice moment.
And Cap wasn't really killing him; he was just disabling him.
Yeah, but do you think he knew that, though?
Well, after Iron Man 3, he doesn't need it to live anymore.
True. But, like,
So
if he would have brought that shield down on his head, he would have killed him.
Oh, yeah. That's why he didn't.
Yeah.
That could be considered a character flaw, how far Cap was going for Bucky.
Yeah.
But then again, Iron Man was way over the top with the rage. Knowing that he literally was brainwashed for, like, 4 decades.
Yeah.
But it literally wasn't him.
It was a little...
it wasn't, but at the same time, you have to also look at it as Iron Man just found out who murdered his parents.
I know. He saw the video. With video.
With video. He's probably not thinking, not thinking.
And poor Bucky's just like, I don't care, do it. No, Cap, just let
him do it. I deserve this. I'll kill someone.
Alright, fine, I'll help.
Yeah. Bucky's another one of those characters where the mental trauma to him has just got to be unreal.
What a great character shift. Because there was a tagline in comics that nobody stays dead except Uncle Ben and Bucky. And then, like, in the mid-2000s, they introduced this new character named Winter Soldier. This character's bad. Oh shit, it's Bucky.
Oh god, not just Uncle Ben.
Well, how long was Jason Todd dead? He was dead for a while.
Yeah.
Before he became Red Hood.
I think I've forgotten so much about it, I've taken it out of the catchphrase.
Yeah.
Well. It wasn't until 2000s either they brought... Well, there you go. So for a while it was just Uncle Ben, Bucky, and
now
Jason
Uncle
Todd
Ben's... Isn't Uncle Ben been brought back in just other storylines?
Yeah, I don't think, like, officially Marvel canon.
Yeah.
the last Clone saga that was really good. Everyone thought they were going to bring him back, but they brought back Ben Reilly.
Well, it's kind of with Jonathan Kent too. He's been brought back. I mean, obviously, it's always weird.
He's had so many origins where sometimes the parents are alive, sometimes Jonathan's dead, sometimes they're both dead. It does fundamentally shift a little bit of how they write that Superman, if his parents are alive or not.
Well, that just goes to show you, like, what, traumatic deaths or just any, just death at all, like, what it could do to the psyche of any person, not just, just because they're superheroes doesn't mean that they suddenly, aren't affected by these things.
People were pissed at New 52 Superman because he kind of came off as a prick. But yeah, he had both his parents were dead when he moved to Metropolis. So he kind of was just on his own thing. But how fucking long have we been going?
We've been going for a while, so we can probably finish it up there. We've definitely gotten more onto the comic book tangent of it. So
yeah.
I guess close.
Just love in general.
Yeah. So closing notes. For anybody that's listening, you can obviously see that there's a lot going on in comics that you can take from it. And again, this is more focusing towards people that aren't familiar with it. I mean, it's nice that with Jereme being here, the fact that he's not nearly up to date on it as well. He's not nearly up to date on it as I am, and Matt's even farther past me. So we kind of have 3 levels here.
It's so hard, you guys. Every week, there's so much.
There's a lot of stuff to take in, but
yeah, I would say you've got somebody who really cares and really likes it.
I try to. I have my list of shame is like this.
And somebody who is just working on it, and somebody who's like, I'll just watch the movies. Okay,
yeah,
I'm not reading those books.
And maybe someone will slip you a trade, and you'll be like, "I'm gonna throw it." That's pretty good.
Yeah. If it was available, I might read it. But
yeah,
normally I prefer my books to have more words and pictures.
But so overall, though, I mean, just from this conversation, I would feel like anyone that just nothing to do with comics, you can kind of realize that there's a lot of we between me and Matt, we were trying to hit a lot of the more risque storylines that have happened, and I feel like that's stuff where people are just like, you can't do that in a comic because it's a cartoon for kids. Yeah. Comics are for kids. You can't do that.
A quick edit. Sin City, great books, great movies.
Yeah, Sin City was that Image or Dark Horse? They seem like they'd be an Image comic, but
I think Image.
Yeah,
pretty decent movie.
The second one was a little.
I didn't watch the second.
I haven't watched the second one. I really want to.
It's not bad. It's just the books,
but overall, so if that just kind of gives you some insight to it. If you, again, I can't perceive to know what it's like to be a kid right now as far as different things that you're into.
Bitches.
But,
digital apps and whatnot.
You
have to buy the books.
There are definitely things that if you're into them and, if you're taking something from them, then definitely go for it. Don't be... don't be ashamed for liking the things you like. If you're getting something out of it, that's really all you should be looking for, even if it's just entertainment, Maybe.
Unless you like Final Fantasy VIII.
Final Fantasy VIII is a good game, fuck you.
I actually also like Final Fantasy VIII.
Yes! Bitch, outnumbered 3-1.
I just allowed Jereme to take all the punishment, but,
People like Britney Spears, doesn't make them right.
Not all of her music sucks.
Oh,
I said it.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, there you go.
In the 90s. She was everywhere.
All right.
She was hot. It's not my fault.
But to end this off before we keep going on other random tangents, so this is Ryan Nieders with OmniLucid Media. As always, like, share, comment.
Please, love us.
Yeah, let us know you guys like any of the stuff that we may be doing.
Free hand jobs.
Definitely check out Matt Miller over at his page, Beard Plays, for more of the video games, and then also Brian Skull as well. And then we do have shirts now. We got our first batch actually today, so they're
pretty bitchin'.
They're pretty nice, and they're actually extremely soft. They're pretty damn comfy.
You can wear them on your balls, we won't care.
Yeah, no, you do what you want with them. You want to buy it, you can do what you want. But that's it for this podcast, and I will talk to you guys later. As always, be excellent to one another.